everybody, this is the Wikstrand. So the movie of today, I think it is called Ruffian, even in its international title. I much more prefer the Swedish title 5 Cases of Gold, Fem lådor guld. Mainly because it symbolizes more what this movie is, or should I say, should have been, because oh boy does this movie has a couple of problems with itself. We shall find out what those are, shall we, because this is not a bad movie. It is just a bit of a frustrating experience from time to time. This is Ruffian. A mine somewhere in British Columbia, Canada. We have a guy who has just arrived here from Quebec, and he's going to, work the mines and stuff like that. And he meets up with a couple of Indians, and they're, heading up to the mines. And I thought at this point at the movie, right at the start, exactly where are we going? I don't know where we're going, but it's kind of interesting. And Sergio Leone's very ominous music really sets the tone for this movie. Something bad is about to happen, I thought to myself. Well, then the most unfriendly Canadians shows up and starts shooting up the place. Now, it is payday weekend, so maybe, the mine has a little bit more cash than usual, but it feels like this is a pretty, big operation for just, robbing the payrolls and stuff like that. And, our Quebec dude and the Indians are able to fight off these guys, and in the end they're actually the only survivors of the attack out here in the wilderness, but they're not completely alone because they also have 5 cases of gold. Now they decide to work together and try to get the gold out of the wilderness and split the whole thing and all that good stuff, but can they trust each other? And I thought to myself, the movie had at this point been going on for about 20 minutes. My God, this movie is going to be so fucking good, I thought to myself. We have, people who doesn't really trust each other, there are trust issues, it's a fight against the wilderness. Will the, authorities show up, looking for the missing gold? Did the, bandits that attack the mine have, companions and stuff like that who also be looking for the gold? So much potential here. And just as I was thinking this and thinking that this movie might be one of the greatest movies of the early 80s, they decided not to do that, because they decided that it's just going to ditch the Indians, just leaving them there right out in the wilderness. I thought to myself when that happened, what? What's he doing? And then he decided to, ditch the entire car. I thought to myself, what? What's he doing? And then he's in a canoe. What the fuck is he doing? So we go from this, very, very fun experience in the wilderness to him ditching the case of gold underneath the waterfall, where they presumably will stay until he can come back and get them. The thing is that he comes back to Quebec and we introduce a bunch of new characters, and then absolutely nothing happens of interest for about 1 hour. And I thought to myself, you do know that you have a bunch of gold that you need to go and get, and why are you doing these sequences with the racing things and with your friend and standing in this billiard hall, balancing on billiard balls? I don't know, and I don't care. These sequences, why are they here? Are you building characters? Maybe you do that a little because you have to introduce a bunch of characters that we have never met before, which is tricky to do after 25 minutes of movies. But like this, I don't know why they're doing this, because they're not really planning or preparing to go back into the wilderness and get the cases of gold. They're doing stuff. You could almost scrap this entire hour because it absolutely matters nothing to the rest of the plot, in my opinion. So when we finally after an hour get back on the entire getting the gold thing, the movie kind of picks up again, and we're having a decent enough third act, even though it is marred a little bit by the fact that we're having some very strange comedy thrown into this thing. What made them thought that they needed comedy in a story like this? Maybe it was in the book, but to that I say, fuck the book if it compromises your story. This is a dark sort of adventure movie with a, deeply psychological edge to the whole thing. in theory, and mad against nature, and mad against unforeseeable objects that can occur. Not this. Unfortunately for us, the movie will end in a frustrating and unsatisfying way. And when I saw it, I was just, what, you're doing this? When you had 1 hour of them doing nothing. You're having this ending with the possibilities you could have done. Jesus fucking Christ! There are good things in this movie. I like the characters, the cinematography is great, and as I said, Ennio Morricone's music is haunting and spellbinding. It's just a problem that the second act of this movie was very weird and very frustrating to get through. It was a chore to get through this entire movie. But I don't really, unrecommending it. You can check it out and see if you, see something else than I did. I said it before and I said it again. You don't have to adapt a book exactly like it is. And if some of the weird things they did in this movie was because of that was in the book, I say fuck the book. Look at Starship Troopers. Basically the patron saint of you don't have to follow the book to make a great movie. Is it a great movie? No, it isn't. Is it a bad movie? No, it isn't that either. It is just a bit frustrating. If this movie would have been just a wilderness experience with, our 3 characters and 5 cases of gold, I think this could have been easily one of the greatest movies of 1983. Now it isn't that. It is a kind of a hodgepodge of different things that doesn't really add up in a way that I really like. I give Ruffian 43 points. There are some pretty decent actors in this one. Claudia Cardinales, the Baroness, who is just one of many very colorful characters in this movie. Even though sometimes I have no idea where we're going with this movie. Even the character seems to be struggling to figure out why we're doing what we're doing. But maybe I'm just being cranky here, but some parts of the movie feels as important to the plot as a screen door on a submarine. So I'll see you next time for so-and-so reviewing, such and such. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much. I hope we have better weather next time.